I think another 1-2 bids also, they were ready for it.
Yeah, and they had 12 slots to fill coming in, but they don't necessarily have to fill all those slots. They got Mitch Starc at 24.75, Chetan Sakaria at 50, and KS Bharat at 50 lakhs, which maybe then just adds a bit of flexibility within that KKR setup. But let's hear from the CEO of the squad, Venki Mysore, standing by.
Sort of look at it from the set of lenses of a price you pay for a player. You know, it seems like, wow, 24.75. I was telling someone that the salary cap of a team when IPL started in 2008 was 20 crores, entire salary cap. So things have changed, right? But, you know, I think our view is when the auction is over, all the 10 teams are going to walk out of the auction having spent 100 crores. And each team decides to slice it differently. So what you paid to somebody, up, down, whatnot, is a matter of perspective. Ultimately, we're all spending the same amount of money.
Interesting that, Anil, when you hear from Venki Mysore, he says, look, at the end of the day, we have 100 to spend. How you slice and dice it depends on you. And when you look at this squad, you've now got a Gurbaz, Jason Roy up the top. You've also got KS Bharat, who could now come in as your Indian keeper. And then you've got a Dre Russ, Sunil Narayan, and down the bottom, because of Chetan Sakaria, you can play Starc. You've got Harshit Rana from last time around, and Varun CV as well. So, in some sense, they're backing this stable 11 with a few additions, and they'll probably hit that 18 mark and say, okay, we're done.
No, I fully agree. I mean, in terms of you have 100 crores, you know how you can manage those 100 crores. But my point was totally different.
Yeah.
I think coming back to KKR, yes, they certainly needed an overseas fast bowler who has the experience, because they don't have that experience in that lineup. Even Chetan Sakaria is a good buy at 50. It was a steal for them, but they don't have the experience. You know, you have you have young fast bowlers there. Harshit Rana is there, and Vaibhav Arora is there. They're still, you know.
Russell may not give you his entire quota.
Yeah, unlikely. The good part for KKR is that Russell is in the lineup for the T20 World Cup, so which means that, you know, he will bowl a lot more. He will want to be that player for KKR. So that's a good thing for KKR. But having said that, I think that lineup certainly looks stronger with Mitchell Starc there. But yes, I mean, the numbers, you know, when you slice it to an individual player, that's something that I certainly can't fathom, because this is the Indian Premier League, and I certainly believe that you don't want a situation where players like Mitchell Starc hasn't come to IPL for the last 8 years. He's put his name on a couple of occasions. He's been picked by the same team. I think Pat Cummins was picked by KKR, then Mitch Starc was picked again, and then he didn't come for the IPL. So yes, in that sense, you know, when you spend that kind of money on an individual player, that certainly is a bit of a challenge if you're a part of that group. But, you know, you need to slice it down. And similarly, I think CSK also did that.
Yeah.
You know, they got Rachin Ravindra at a cheaper cost, 1.8, Shardul Thakur for 4 crores. We all expected him to sort of go to that, at least a double digit, but he didn't. Harshal Patel did. Shardul Thakur did. So for them, a 20 crore package, they had 3 players.
Correct. It released sort of, Daryl Mitchell,
Yes, Daryl Mitchell came in, and then they sort of sorted out that combination. And for them, it became much stronger with that 20 crores that they spent.
Yeah, we've just got joined by AB de Villiers again. And AB, welcome back to this historic day, because it must pinch a little bit to be a batter at the moment, AB. When you look at the numbers flying around for Mitch Starc and Pat Cummins, over 40 crore rupees on 2 individuals. We first thought, okay, Pat Cummins, 20.5, that's massive. But in walks Mitch Starc at 24.75. What do you make of all the madness you've witnessed so far?
Absolutely unbelievable. Hi, gentlemen. I think we're all just in awe. I think the trick lies in you have to win the World Cup, and then things like this happen, right? You can only be happy for the guys. Obviously, KKR under a bit of pressure now haven't spent most of their purse, but I'm sure they'll pick up a good value buys later on. And it's just incredible, and it just shows you the power of this tournament and where it's going. Every single year it gets bigger and better and stronger. But happy for those two stalwarts. They know what they do with the ball in hand. And as we mentioned before, we did call this. We predicted that the bowlers are going to be hot property, and we were not disappointed at all.
Yeah, not disappointed at all. They certainly can't be as well. But AB brings a certain point in as well as we take a look at the purse remaining for these squads. You've still got 31.85 crore to GT. As you said, they can take a lot of money back home. and SRH now at 3.6. CSK still have 11.6, so they could potentially get a big buy-in. MI with 8.15. We saw a couple of smart buys for them with the two quicks that they bought in Kotsia and Madhushanka. But the fact that also AB brought in, just that the World Cup just happened, there's a recency bias. Both these men featured, both these men did well. How much of that do you think had to say in this as well?
Oh, look, I'm sure it played a factor, without doubt. But even if they didn't win, Mitchell Starc, has been on the radar of many teams for a long time. Pat Cummins, it's that leadership. I mean, AB's alluded to. He's just won the World Cup.
Yep.
SRH have been, I guess, devoid of that stability. So they brought in Dan Vittori. They've now got, they've now got Pat Cummins. That whole leadership group now with Boovie, Aidan Markram is really steady. In terms of what they do there. Whether they go with Pat Cummins as the captain will be interesting. But yeah, I mean, let's just see what unfolds over the next few while. But there's not a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan's probably the only one.
Yeah, and when you look at, therefore, our fan voice and the thoughts that are coming in, Zach, are you a bit surprised with that? Because RCB, they've only added Alzari Joseph. As Hess was saying, he wasn't sure what they were waiting for in many ways. But overall, at the moment, our fan voice, our fans at home saying CSK with the best auction so far. A couple of steals with Shardul and Rachin Ravindra, and then they've added Daryl Mitchell and SRH. At the moment, our fan voice, our fans at home, well with Hyderabadi fans.
Well, all the fans are very smart. You can make out from the percentages which are given, they're spot on. I think SRH had that clarity, and they just backed themselves with that. CSK were very smart. I think CSK got lucky with all the frenzy which was going on in that auction room, and they've walked away with some really good value buys. I felt from today. Shardul to start with, I think at that price, he's going to play a role. Ex-Chennai boy going back to Chennai is something which we were talking about. It was expected, but no one thought that it was going to happen at that price. Another young hero of the World Cup, Rachin Ravindra, was very impressive through and through. Him going at 1.8 to CSK, another player who can have that kind of an impact in terms of playing a role. So if you just take the numbers out and just focus on the players which they bought, they all are a great value add to that squad.
And Anil, when you look at Sunrisers, who also got a lot of votes in, they got a couple of real steals as well. Hasaranga at 1.5, we've been saying is one of the steals of the day. Travis Head at 6.8 as well. Pat Cummins at 20.5. But these two teams from the south, CSK with still 11.6 CR remaining, even though they spent a chunk of it on Daryl Mitchell, they probably were able to do that because they kept a lot more money for Rachin Ravindra and Shardul Thakur.
Yes, you sort of balance things out in an auction like this, and I'm sure those 11.6, they will certainly look to buy a Shah Rukh Khan when he comes up. So yes, in that sense, Chennai have certainly done well with the auction, and SRH too. I mean, it's just that who's going to be that four that you're going to play in the playing 11, and who's going to captain. They've had a change of captain too, if you've bought Pat Cummins into the scheme of things. So that's something that SRH will have to figure out. Hasaranga was a steal. He's a match winner. We have seen that through his career for Sri Lanka, and in that middle overs, along with someone like a Markande, he bowled really well for them last year. You have Washington Sundar there, and with Travis Head and Aidan Markram, if both of them play, or even Glenn Phillips, all of them can bowl a few off spinners.
They traded Shahbaz Ahmed.
Yes, they traded Shahbaz Ahmed. So they have last year. You have Washington Sundar there. Options now, because that was one area where SRH didn't have that kind of experience and control with their spin department.